Hey everybody, Quantum here, and in this video I'm going to show you what I thought was going to be a little bit of a gimmick deck, turning out to be something that is just looking very strong. Members of the channel, you guys would already be aware of this as I posted the deck profile already. I will make all this stuff public a little bit later, but I just want to give a little bit back to the members who support the channel with a little bit extra, so they just get first dibs on the reveals. My ping was high in this match, so it hopefully isn't like too laggy on the recording. But if you wonder why there's like pauses or lags, like things look a little laggy, that's the reason why. You can see the ping actually in the top right corner. This is a bad matchup for my testing partner, though, to be fair. We're going up against Ruby Sapphire, basically an updated version of DKP's Shark Manor list for Reign of Jafar's meta. And into discard, we know that that deck doesn't generally do too well. Here, I think my opponent started, they inked and pass, right? Oh no, we start. Okay, so we, oh man, on the play, it's really strong. This Ruby Emerald deck, but yeah, we're gonna go turn one Merfolk. We play a very aggressive opening package, as you can tell. We, even going as far as playing the Flynn Rider here. But I've talked about why you might want to cut this just to increase your matchup spread. We draw into the second Diablo here, so we're going to, of course, quest for 2 and then just lay on the pressure, right? We know that these control decks are a little slow to get going, and we can definitely take advantage of that as the Emerald player here. So we're going to go to 6 next turn. The opponent here, being on the draw is like, it's really tough for him. They're going to try to ramp on turn 2, which, like I said, it's almost guaranteed we go to 6. And then next turn, does their Tipo actually challenge through on the Cursed Merfolk? And if they do, that's fine, because they have to deal with it, which means we're going to draw off of it because of the Prince John. Like, they can't not challenge the Cursed Merfolk here. So they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So we're going to go ahead and ink the Brawl because, hey, there's no more Hiram in the meta, so we don't need to be holding on to Brawls in this matchup. We're going to play the Prince John on 3, and this is just like an insane curve, right? Against other decks, this would not be nearly as powerful, but against this particular deck, it is pretty good. My testing partner and I, we both go into these matches fairly blind. Like, we may know what inks we're testing, but we don't know what decks we're on. We don't know what variation of the deck, what cards are in the deck. So at this point, he didn't know that I was on testing this variation, because obviously it's not like a super meta relevant deck, at least right now. And I didn't know he was on the DKP list. But here, yeah, he ends up having a super goof. So going back to like the OG, some of the OG stuff that DKP was on, he ends up having to discard 2 for the Merfolk and the Flynn Rider, though, and we draw 2 as a result because of the Prince John, which is just crazy good value. They are ahead on ink now, but we have the advantage of just the cards, right? They've got 2 cards and a kind of an underwhelming board. So we're going to opt to probably ink this Diablo because we don't need to see the hand. There's no shift in sight. We can see the hand with the Ursula Deceiver if we want. So I accidentally highlight everything. I'm going to play Ursula Deceiver just to look at the hand here. And we do hit the song in the How Far I'll Go, which is just like crazy good value. We draw Undermine off of the discard there for the Prince John. You guys, you can't win against this in this the control decks. They just can't do anything against this. So no need to waste the Sing. We're just gonna hard cast the Undermine, give Prince John +2 strength. Now my opponent's hand is fully discarded. The Prince John can clean up the Super Goof, which is crazy to say, but all they're left with is 4 ink and a Tipo. GG right at this point. I don't think my friend made any kind of misplays. I just think he was a victim of being on the draw against a really bad matchup, and this is what kind of happens, right? He has to hope to play off the top, but in a deck like this, you do play some high cost on inkables, and they can definitely come back to bite you. I will say my friend did get kind of unlucky with the draw. As you can see, he drew for turn there and passed, couldn't even ink the card he drew. So I'm just thinking, okay, you've got a card in your hand. I might actually go for another Prince John and then just sing this Sudden Chill. So it's just like, it's so overwhelmingly powerful into any kind of mid-range or control deck. Steel might have some play into it, but you know, if you go first, like, and you get a curve like that, which is again one of the reasons why you may not want to play Flynn Rider. I talk about this in the deck profile. Like, it's just really really strong. So the discard off the sudden chill being sang by the Ursula forces the opponent to discard a get out. One of the new cards in the set, which I think is very good, a very good addition for red blue. But of course, you need to see a popsicle. So you can kind of see like both of our decks are kind of reliant on certain cards coming up, key cards in the decks. You know, Prince John pretty key for discard, Popsicle pretty key for Sapphire decks. They draw and pass again, drawing a big Sisu that's uninkable. We draw two because Hypnotize draws one, and because they discarded, we draw again off of the Prince John. Again, they're just sitting on a Tipo. I'm aiming up to play a shark, but nope, end up inking the shark because you know everything else in my hand is just too valuable. We're gonna play a Diablo, and I again what I mentioned for the members of the channel, you know already. Like, this combination is just basically unbreakable at this point. There's nothing that they can really top deck to get themselves back into the game now that we have the full setup going. Um, they can't draw cards because of the Diablo. Well, they can, but you know, I'll just outdraw them and out-resource them. They try to keep anything in hand. We Prince John discard it. They only have 4 ink. They can't really develop anything. They end up discarding a Be Prepared off of the Hypnotize, and we're gonna draw two. My friend is, you know, he knows the game is over, but he's like, let's just play it out. I just want to see, and that's a good mentality to have to get practice, get knowledge for game two. Assuming you don't want to hide something for, you know, from your opponent that, you know, oh, I don't want to draw something, and you get to see what I discard. And I talk about this. Here we drop the sharpshooter, but at this point, like, is the sharpshooter kind of overkill? Because you know, if I get to a point in the game where the sharpshooter is the difference maker for me, I think I'm losing that game. Because the card is just a high roll card, right? Like, you have to hope to hit off of it. I just, you know, again, if you watch the deck profile, you know my thoughts on it. But we draw the Lilo, so we draw the combo. You know, and again, this is just like the gimmick, right? The fun part. So we go to 15. Look at the top four. I had to double check the card because it's been so long since I played it. I'm like, it's four, right? All of it's gonna get revealed anyways because they all go to the discard. We hit a sudden chill, but it doesn't matter because the opponent has nothing in hand. They ink the card that they drew. But I think we end up questing out to 19 this turn anyways. Yeah, they have nothing in hand. They're on 5 ink. You know, drawing like 3 uninkables in a row. So, you know, the Get Out, the Sisu, and the Be Prepared. You can't blame the guy. Like, I mean, and this is why discard is so frustrating. Like, would you guys have fun in this matchup? I know I keep bringing it up, and I will keep bringing it up. Like, discard, like this stuff, to me, is not fun to play against. This is not interactive. This is, you know, a one-sided affair. Like, you think my opponent is sitting on the other side of the table? Like, great, I get to play the game. Top deck another Be Prepared. Like, my friend's luck here is just atrocious. But honestly, there was nothing he was really drawing there that was going to get him back into the game. So we're going to move on to game number two. Like, these matches are so fast that I don't even need to split up the footage. Like, the matches are under 10 minutes, and this is not even sped up if you haven't noticed. So I normally speed these videos up 125, 150%, so the times are cut back, right? I don't even need to do that because I can fit 2 matches in the span of time that, you know, it takes to play one control match. Like, you know, and we're both control decks. It's just discard is, I'm just gonna say, like, inherently just an unfair deck. So again, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people aren't gonna share that opinion. But like I said, if you play this game at a competitive level, and again, I don't really play all that competitively. I don't go to events. I can't, right? You guys know my situation, right? With, you know, a newborn and stuff. Well, she's not really a newborn anymore, but, and work is extremely busy. But you know, you'll know this stuff. You'll know what it's like to play against an aggressive discard. You know, these strategies is the reason why people are migrating back to Emerald Steel, why it's doing well in tournament, that kind of thing. It's just not fun to play against. So my opponent here, they're on the play here now. They ink, again, don't see a popsicle or develop. But they do see a develop off of the sail, so that's not bad. They did have double vision of the future as well as double sail. So they ink double vision. And here I draw into Ursula Deceiver. So you can argue that I maybe high roll my opponent here a little bit with this draw, but you know, it's discard. I'm going to draw discard cards, right? So what I'm going to do here is actually ink the shark probably. and opt to play the Ursula Deceiver because they have two unknown cards in their hand now. So I'm like, did you draw into ramp the how far I'll go? Because I know they play 4. Yes, he did. But what I was really checking for was Brawl because I want to deploy this Diablo, and it might be worth because they don't have characters. I know they have a Grammatala, but it might be worth trying to bait the Brawl with like the Flynn maybe or something. Probably wouldn't work because I have the Diablo. They want to keep it for when I do eventually shift that Diablo, but they don't have the Brawl. So I don't even know if they were on Brawl. I think I asked him and he said he probably wasn't because it wasn't needed right now in this meta. But then you just get blown up by Diablo. I mean, to be fair, he does have other answers, but unless you kind of see a really strong start, which you can argue, he did get his turn 2 ramp. He gets Grammatala here. So he is curving out nicely, and he's playing it the correct way. Like, he's keeping cards in his hand to mitigate me just blowing him out by, like, doing a double discard or something. So I think he's playing the right way, but the deck is just too oppressive. And without the direct answer early on to the Diablo, like, again, you don't need me to tell you. If you've watched, again, any online tournaments, it's not like the players are bad. Players that get turn 2 Diablo, there's a reason why people hate Diablo, right? Like turn 2 Diablo, it's drawing you probably 3 cards before it's dealt with if they don't have the immediate answer on the play. And when you're on the draw, like a turn 2 Diablo is like drawing you probably 4 or 5 cards potentially, right? Like, unless, again, Ruby in the Ruby Amethyst matchup, there's a reason why people were playing Pegasus, Peter Pan Shadow, Iago, Moana, Genie. Like evasives are great, but it's like I need to answer the Diablo when I go up against that matchup. Like that's how much of a threat this thing is. But here, my opponent is not out of the game just yet. We do have the Prince John set up with the Diablo once again, though. This is the bread and butter of this Ruby Emerald deck. Like I said, what started off as kind of like a meme deck that I was wanting to test out showed that it's extremely strong. You don't necessarily need the steel variation. And I talked about this during the card review for Ruby Emerald as well as the card review during the reveals before everything was revealed, and I said this Undermine card is going to be a problem. We don't need another discard variant, and I was surprised to find out that the Ruby Emerald version actually has some legs underneath it. You could argue, we do need to test this more into Steel, which I would agree, which is, again, going back to the deck profile portion, which might only be exclusive to members for the first little while since I posted this video. But, like, there are things you can do, right, if you are struggling into Steel once you start testing. So the Hypnotize here forces a discard. We draw 2, 1 off Hypnotize, 1 off Prince John for the discard. Sing Sun Chill with the Diablo, make them discard again. They discard Tipo. They have 1 card left in hand. Draw again off the Prince John. Draw into a Brawl. This Grammatala can't really do much here. Pass turn. Draw for their draw up. Like, do you guys see why this is like stupid? This is stupid. This is just dumb. I'm sorry. Like, I know it sounds like I'm complaining and I probably sound like a broken record over different videos. This is not fair gameplay. I'm the unfair player here. How am I drawing when you draw and drawing when you discard? That is a combination that should not exist, in my opinion. But so here my friend is thinking, 2 cards in hand, only 5 ink. Even if they be prepared here, like I've already run them out of resources and I have 5 cards in my hand, 6 cards in my hand, and I'm going to draw for turn. And I have, deal with 1 Diablo. I probably have another one in my hand. I think I do, right? I don't even remember, but when I flash, yeah, I do. Look at that. You keep cards in your hand. I have 2 Undermines. You play a character. I have the Bruno. You play Sail. Look at this. I draw because you draw off Sail. This deck is stupid. I'm sorry, guys. It's a stupid deck. It shouldn't exist. Undermine raises the ceiling for the discard because it's just another discard spell. And the fact that it gives +2 as well. You saw what it actually was able to do in the last match where you can actually trade out. The Prince John did its work. It drew me X amount of cards, and I'm like, great. Now you have nothing in your hand, so the Prince John is dead. And even if it's in terms of its engine, I'm like, but even if I needed another one, I drew so many cards, I have another one in my hand anyways. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Discard when it loses can feel really bad because you just brick and, you don't do anything. But more often than not, against good discard players, if they know what they're doing, they build their deck correctly, this is often the result, whether you're on the play or on the draw. Honestly, again, as a discard player myself from a few sets ago, I know that even when you're on the draw, your opponent has one less card. That's not necessarily a bad thing for you. Here you can kind of see some of the utility of the Lilo that I was talking about, again, in the deck profile video, which is currently members only, or, for right now, it probably will go public soon. But, you don't need to play Lilo for its actual, like, play it for free ability. Even though you can do that, you just play it and it readies up a character. Most of your stuff you want to be exerted, like the Flynns, the Diablos, the Cursed Merfolks, etc. The Lilo is really only good in scenarios where you can like re-ready Shark for a double challenge, which again, if you're playing against good opponents, they'll play around the Shark. They're not going to leave two things exerted for your Shark to run into so that you can Lilo ready up and run the Shark into something else. Like, again, you guys got to think through, like, if I'm playing a good opponent, they're not going to play into what I want them to do. But in this instance, the only other utilization is like I get the extra quest in with the Prince John, ready it up so it's not vulnerable. But again, I've already run the opponent out of cards, and now I'm at the point. This is where the Ruby deck is crazy. I could have I'm stupid. I didn't even think about this. I guess, whatever, I'll just quest for the lore. I'm just trying to end the game. But I could have played the Shark and then sang the Bruno, right? Draw off of the return of Grammatala and the discard, get the extra lore off of Shark, and then I developed the Shark. So that was a misplay on my end, but it doesn't even matter because look at the state of the game. Again, it's just stupid, in my opinion. This shouldn't happen. This kind of disparity shouldn't happen. Like, this is not fun gameplay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna leave it there. So yeah, like I said, this deck I think is potentially going to be a meta breaker. I just flood the board because he can't see Sue. I'm like, you better top deck that, be prepared. But even if you do, you're on nothing, and I'll just rebuild the board. So yeah, he need top decks Tipo. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry if I sounded really pessimistic and down in this video, but I mean, you can see it here, right? Like, not fun. He's looking for his popsicle, and what ended up happening here, this just goes to show you some of the luck my friend has sometimes. I think there were all four popsicles were the bottom 22 cards of his deck. So he just really, that's the thing with these decks, right? And this is what I talk about in the deck profile. It's like when you build your deck around a certain card, like Bucky, right? When that was a thing, this new DKP stuff with, it's not really relying on popsicle, but it's one of your key engine cards. Same with, not really with Blurple, but like you need multiple engines. I'm not going to get into it now because the video is over. You don't want to watch a black screen. But again, I talk about this in the deck profile. It's just fundamental deck building. When you consider your deck, you need to look at it from a multiple engine perspective. But that's a conversation for a different video. If you made it this far, let me know what you think. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.